Have you followed what's going on in Germany?
No, I haven't.
It is an absolute disaster. Angela Merkel opens the borders and brags about the fact that she wants 800,000 illegal and immigrant refugees per year because the Germany birth rate is below population replacement levels. So you got a labor force problem. And it's totally out of control. And it's not being reported on in this country because it would not be helpful to the pro-immigration, open borders crowd in this country. But it's same premise. What people don't understand, the reason why you have a tough time convincing people, when you run out and tell people they're not particularly politically oriented, who don't pay attention to politics every day, and who have been sucked in with the premise, hey, we're a great country, there are people around the world suffering. If they want to come here to better their lives, why shouldn't we? That's a very seductive argument. It's used on unsuspecting people who are unaware of the real motivation behind people who want mass immigration and open borders. So here they got it in their minds that it's the compassionate thing to do. It's what powerful people with plenty and abundance do. We share it. Why in the world would we want to not treat these people nicely and so forth? What you're faced with then is, well, you got to tell them why the pro-immigration open borders forces are really doing it. And then you get into politics. And if the low information crowd that thinks it's just a wonderful humanitarian thing to do, if they don't have a political understanding foundation, you are running an obstacle course trying to change their minds about it. And that's where we find ourselves in this country. Because the real reason that and let's take the Democrat Party first. The real reason that left-wing Democrats, which is about all there are anymore, are so in favor of open borders is this. The Democrat Party, politically, for its enduring power and thus survival, needs a permanent underclass of people dependent on government. And the fastest way to get them is to bring them here from poor nations when they're young, when they're uneducated and unskilled and can't work, and thus they arrive totally dependent. And if this happens with a Democrat in the White House, they are going to grow very accustomed to the government of the United States taking care of them. And as they learn who the government is, i.e. it's Obama, the Democrats, they become Democrat voters. And that is the reason they support it. It's not compassion. It's actually the opposite of compassion. They want poor and uneducated, low-skill people to come in the country and then stay that way. That's the trick. They want them to stay ill-educated. They want them to stay lower middle class to poor. They don't want them earning a lot of money. They don't ever want them becoming independent. It's hideous. It's the exact opposite of compassion. Why the Democrat Party is in favor of open borders. And the more of those circumstances that exist, the better. The less English they speak, the better. The more dependent on government they are, the better. Because the Democrats then look at them as really just a giant, unregistered voting bloc waiting to be registered. And you can easily poison those people's minds against Republicans. All you have to do is say, they don't want you here. They don't want you to have welfare check. They don't want you to have health care. So you cement them as Democrats for the rest of their lives. Gee, Mr. Limbaugh, that sounds awful cynical. It may sound cynical, but it is the reason. That is why. It is not compassion. It's not charity. Well, it is that. But it's not a desire to share America's wealth with the poor and the impoverished of the world. Because when they get here, the objective of the Democrat Party is to keep them poor and to keep them ill-educated. That's the objective. Republicans want them here because their donors do. Those people equal cheap labor. And the people that get hurt in all this are people who become educated and develop skills, who then have an ability to command a certain wage, but they'll never get it because the immigrants over here will get the jobs because they don't have to be paid as much. It's hideous. And we find ourselves opposing it. And when we do, we are castigated as heartless and cold and unfeeling, when in truth what we're doing is standing up for the humanity of everybody, American citizens who are here. And we are trying to do our best into seeing to it that these newly arrived immigrants, if they're left to be Democrats, they're always going to be poor. They're never going to be fully educated by design. It can't be compassion why the Democrats want them here. And the whole, I don't know if you call it a program or what, but the numbers of people crossing the border are not subsiding. I mean, they're continuing to come across in droves, even during the campaign. So while nobody's looking as focused as they have been.